one slung over his left shoulder, the other with a Winchester in his brawny hands.
"The bitch doesn't want any trouble,"
the braggart said sarcastically.
"I don't like her attitude, Clem,"
stated the man holding the Winchester.
"Me neither,"
agreed the third man. Clem snickered and placed his right hand on Maddie's chin.
"I guess it's unanimous. If you don't want to be polite, we'll have to teach you some manners."
"I'm warning you," Maddie began, but his right hand clamped on her throat, choking off her air, and she gasped as she slipped his left hand under her right arm and heaved, hauling her onto the top of the bar, her legs knocking several glasses and mugs to the wooden floor with a noisy crash.
"You're warning me?"
Clem demanded, his features livid, his nose an inch from hers. Maddie struggled, striving to pry his fingers from her throat to no avail.
"Nobody tells me what to do,"
Clem snapped.
"Nobody!"
"Let's poke her," suggested the one who had the marlin over his shoulder.
"I bet she'd be real tasty,"
added the third.
"I better let her live, then,"
Clem said, and released his hold on her throat, pleased when she gasped and clutched at her neck, savoring her torment. He liked to see his women squirm and whimper before he poked them. Maddie sat up, inhaling deeply, calculating whether she could reach the revolver kept under the bar, lying on a shelf 20 feet from her position. If she tried, she knew Clem would shoot her. She also knew better than to expect any help from the other customers. Minding one's own business was an unspoken law of the Outlands, and anyone foolish enough to violate the rule ran the risk of being planted in a shallow grave. Clem stared at her green sweater and faded jeans.
"Nice threads you got there, gorgeous. There isn't a hole in 'em."
He paused, studying her chest, and licked his thin lips.
"What's under there?"
Her blood went cold, and she started to scramble away from him, but he grabbed her sweater and yanked, tumbling her onto the floor at his feet. She landed on her hands and knees, and before she could rise, his left hand descended on her hair.
"Stand, bitch!"
Clem spat, and brutally wrenched on her golden tresses, pulling her erect. An inadvertent cry escaped her lips. She grimaced and swatted at his left arm.
"Be nice,"
Clem said mockingly. A grizzled patron rose and headed for the front door.
"Where the hell do you think you're going, Gramps?"
demanded Clem's friend with the Winchester. The patron halted and faced the trio, visibly blanching.
"Out for a little fresh air is all." "Your fresh air can wait, man. Sit down until we tell you different," declared Clem's buddy.
"Sure thing," the patron said, and took a seat at the nearest table.
"That's telling him, Bo,"
Clem commented. Bo laughed and hefted the Winchester.
"Anyone else who would like to leave?"
he asked, and when no one responded, he threw back his head and cackled.
"We got us a bunch of wimps here, Clem. This'll be easy pickings."
"Please,"
Maddie said.
"get out of here before it's too late."
"Too late for what?"
Clem replied and snorted.
"Honey, we're just getting fired up." "Is there any kind of law in this town, darling?"
Bo inquired. Maddie refused to reply.
"They ain't got no law hereabouts," stated the man with the marlin. "I'd stake my life on it." "Then let's get down to business,"
Clem said, and planted his mouth on Maddie's forehead, kissing her, flicking his wet tongue across her skin, then smacking his lips when he straightened.
Yummy. She is tasty."
Maddie clenched her fists at her side and trembled, more from simmering rage than from fear. Revulsion swamped her as she felt his saliva trickling down her forehead onto her nose.
"You're disgusting,"
she blurted.
"You'll change your tune by the time I'm done,"
Clem assured her, smirking.
"You take her first," Bo prompted. "I'll go second and Rafe third."
"Why do I always have to go last?"
Rafe asked.
"Because you're the ugliest," Bo said, and chortled. "There's enough of her to go around,"
Clem said, and reached for her right breast.
"That's enough!"
The two words, spoken with the explosive force of a cannon, froze the patrons in their chairs and caused Clem, Bo, and Rafe to spin toward the source. Bo with his rifle leveled, all three focused on the table in the shadows at the southeast corner.
"Who the hell?"
Clem snapped. The speaker addressed them again in a lower, menacing tone.
"Leave the woman alone." "You talking to us?"
Clem asked in disbelief, shocked to find anyone possessing the gall to oppose them.
"You're the best."